Attention! Your mission, should you be foolish enough to accept it, is about to begin. Listen up. Yes, you believe you can conquer one of the most demanding language exams in the world through laziness. You crave the victory, but you refuse the fight.
Your ambition is pathetic, and yet the tactical problem you present is interesting. Very well. I will serve as your commander on this mission into the impossible. Now, pay attention and do not fall behind.
Right, here's our operational briefing. We'll assess your foolish challenge, scout the paths of so-called fortune and the paths of actual danger, analyze your clever maneuvers, and calculate the true cost of this laziness of yours. And then you will receive my final order. Let's move out.
We'll start with the strategies that require you to gamble with fate itself. See, if you want to dodge the hard work, you're going to need an obscene amount of luck. So let's see if you even qualify.
First up, a route straight out of a fantasy novel. This is the path of the pampered aristocrat, for those of you who think you can be born with a silver textbook in your mouth.
The plan? Simple. Just be born again. Or, get adopted by a family of academics, maybe rescue some billionaire's daughter and get access to a private tutor. I'll grant you this, the learning environment would be perfect. The only prerequisite? You have to win the absolute grand prize in the lottery of life. This isn't a strategy. It's a daydream. Dismissed.
All right, next. A path for the truly narcissistic among you. The one where you imagine yourself as some kind of pop star, adored by millions.
Now, the logic here is surprisingly sound. You get scouted, become an idol, and your agency pays for top-tier language training. Your job actually demands that you become fluent. It's a solid structure. The problem? The barrier to entry is monumental. You need the looks, the talent, the charisma, and the luck to be plucked from millions of other hopefuls. Let me get this straight. You want to become a global superstar to get out of opening a textbook? The absurdity is just staggering.
Let's move on to a more common delusion, the idea that you can just absorb the language through a relationship. A classic maneuver, yes, but an incredibly costly one.
And let me be crystal clear about this. Simply getting a Japanese partner is not enough. A casual, lukewarm relationship won't cut it. The conversations are too shallow. To really learn this way, the stakes have to be incredibly high. We're talking about a profoundly deep, life-changing romance, or a terrifying one. A partner who forces you to improve, a drill sergeant who practically scares the grammar into you. Anything in between is a complete waste of your time. You're trying to trade a textbook for an immense emotional burden.
We are now entering hostile territory. These next paths are for the fools who think rules don't apply to them. I will analyze them, but do not for 1 second mistake this analysis for an endorsement. Is that clear?
We'll start with the most obvious and most idiotic of all so-called shortcuts, a path for those who seem to actively court disaster. Cheating, bribery, any kind of fraud. Don't even let the thought enter your mind. This is not a shortcut to passing the exam. It is a direct flight to failing not just the test, but life itself. It is the fastest way to get a game over. This option is rejected, absolutely, instantly. Next, for those of you who find a simple vocabulary list more terrifying than cosmic forces beyond all human comprehension, the spiritual route.
So the plan is to pray to a god or make a pact with a demon. At first, it sounds like a joke, but let's play this out. Imagine it actually works. You pass the test, even though you knew nothing. Do you feel relieved? No. That's when a new horror begins. Was it a miracle from a benevolent god? Or did some dark entity answer your call? You may have passed the test, but now you'll lie awake every single night, wondering what price you'll eventually have to pay. That's not a victory. That's a psychological nightmare of your own making.
And now we have a route that preys on the desire for easy answers and a sense of belonging, a truly treacherous option.
Let's analyze this with cold, hard logic. The pros? Okay, you'll be surrounded by people. There will be high-energy meetings, repeated slogans, a massive amount of conversation. The cons? The goal of these groups isn't your education, it's your indoctrination. You will risk losing your money, your friends, and your entire worldview long before you master verb conjugations. This is a terrible, dangerous path. Stay away.
We now move to the routes that seem intelligent on the surface. These are the strategies for people who replace one kind of hard work with another, even more difficult kind of work, all while telling themselves they've found a clever shortcut.
Just look at these clever trades. The high-tech route,
I'll build a video game to teach myself Japanese. A fine idea, except learning game development is monumentally harder than learning a language. The nightlife route, I'll pay for conversation at hostess clubs. You'll get plenty of practice, but your bank account will be utterly destroyed. The elderly route, I'll go befriend seniors in the countryside. They have endless time to talk, but their stories are also endless. Your own life will dissolve while you listen to theirs. Each path just swaps one cost for another, usually much, much greater one.
But what about the social routes? Huh? Making friends? Doing good deeds for the community? Fine. Let's analyze these so-called wholesome paths and expose their true cost.
Look, building genuine friendships is a difficult skill all on its own. Your friends are not your private tutors. The good deeds route, volunteering requires huge commitments of your time, your physical energy, and your emotions. It is not some casual hobby. And as for befriending local delinquents, you might form some deep spiritual bond through shared rebellion, but I can assure you the slang you pick up is not going to be on the N2 exam. All of these paths demand a different kind of effort, an effort that is often much harder than just studying.
And finally, we have the laziest of tactics. Sleep learning? Yeah, you'll be fluent in your dreams, and completely useless when you wake up. Traveling? It's a good demo version of the language, but it will not get you to the finish line. Singing songs? You'll learn the feeling of the music, not the meaning of the words. Chatting with an AI? It's a fun toy, but it makes for a terribly boring teacher. Every single one of these is superficial. They give you the illusion of progress without any of the substance.
And so, we arrived at the truth. We have surveyed the entire battlefield of your foolishness. It is time for you to understand the real price of your desire to avoid work. Let this be burned into your mind. Not studying is not the same thing as doing nothing. It is not a state of rest.
Not studying simply means that you have chosen to pay a different and almost always a much higher price.
And this slide says it all. Instead of paying with focused effort, you are wagering everything else. Your time, your money, your emotional stability, your relationships, even your safety and your ethics. That is the true cost of laziness.
So here is the final intelligence report. Every harebrained scheme, categorized. Some are vaguely realistic but wildly inefficient. Others are flat-out dangerous or pure fantasy. A huge number carry a life cost that is far too heavy to bear. And a couple are nothing more than childish dreams.
The analysis is complete. I will now issue my final order. There will be no questions, there will be no debate.
The conclusion is inescapable. Every single path we just explored, every single shortcut, every scheme, every clever little trick was ultimately more difficult, more expensive, or more dangerous than the simple act of studying.
You have enough energy to scheme up a dozen different scenarios. You have the courage to risk your own sanity and your safety. You have the drive to pursue the impossible, all in a desperate attempt to avoid opening a book? It's pathetic. But that energy, that same creativity, that same drive, if you could just channel it, if you could redirect it at the actual target, you could become formidable. You have the strength. You are just pointing it in the completely wrong direction.
So here is your order. It consists of 3 simple steps. 1. Stop looking for a way out. 2. Open your books. 3. Study. That is all.
The most effective strategy has been staring you in the face this entire time. It is the safest, the cheapest, and the most reliable path to victory. The choice was never about how to avoid the work. It was always about whether or not you would finally accept it. Now, what are you going to do?